Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Real People. I'm the radical individualist, otherwise known as Chip, and this is Individualists Unite. You can see all episodes and a bunch of other neat stuff at individualistunite.substack.com. And as you know, with Real People has very strict standards. We only have conversations with real people. So, Becca, are you a real person?
I am a real person.
I believe it because I know her well. She is my granddaughter, so we've been around together for a while. And thanks for having this conversation. We've talked a lot, but never quite like this.
It's my pleasure.
Good, mine too. Before we get into any other stuff, just real quick, tell folks about yourself, what you're doing, where you've been, where you're going.
So my full name is
No, you don't need to do that.
Becca Diamond.
You can stick with Becca, but
I go to UC for criminal justice and a minor in cybersecurity. I just recently joined the National Guard and I will be in it for the next 8 years. I'm hoping once I graduate, I'll become a second lieutenant in the National Guard, and then eventually I'm hoping to join either a big letter agency or something like the FBI or CIA, or I think like a deputy sheriff sounds very cool too. And right now my days just consist of school. I work at Chick-fil-A and I guess doing homework.
Okay. Sounds like a pretty full life.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I know we've talked about you because you only just recently signed with the National Guard and all that entails, which is quite a bit. What really made you decide to do all of that?
I just kind of thought, how can I up my resume and also gain experience at the same time? And seeing as not only will they pay for my full school, but also give me those skills and help me gain things to get put on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also do that while I'm in school, and I'll also be able to say that I am like a second lieutenant, which is an officer in the National Guard.
Okay. What will you have to do? You're going to go to school. You'll have to do some. Well, I guess you just call it National Guard. Every one weekend a month, or after you do this initial stuff, one weekend a month. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's 1 weekend a month, and then 2 weeks in the summer.
Okay.
And then if I ever want to do extra training, I know you can sign up for that, and then you could go to different kinds of bases and learn some things.
Okay. And what happens when you graduate?
So when I graduate, I think a few days after I graduate, then they swear me in as an officer, and then after that they'll send me to AIT, which is specialized training for whichever job I choose. And then after that, I'll come back and I'll be in the National Guard for the next 6 years. And I can choose to have a civilian job as well. So I could be a police officer at the same time. And that's one thing that I thought was appealed to me, because I'm I can do both things at once. I don't have to put a stop on what I thought I was going to do, but I can do both things.
So you don't have to, full time enlist in the military then, unless you want to. Is that correct?
Yeah, I could choose to go active duty. They have active duty jobs in the National Guard if I wanted to do them. It's just there aren't that many, and most people don't. Or I could choose to go actual active duty for 4 years, or if let's say I got deployed, then they add that to your time sort of, and shrink your time, I guess. Because then you'll get, once you're deployed, you get active duty pay, and your time in the military is less than 6 years.
Okay. I get the general idea anyway. I'm just curious, because I know you've been headed this direction for a while. Did you ever consider any other possibilities besides doing that? You've always been talking about I've heard you mention the FBI a number of times. Have you ever considered anything besides working for the government or whatever?
I wanted to be a pastry chef when I was like pretty little until I decided.
And she is a great pastry chef, by the way.
Until I realized that my artistic abilities aren't that good. So like I can make good tasting food, yet will it look good? Probably not. And you eat with your eyes first. So I assume that was a pretty bad problem. Um, I've also like thought like owning a restaurant would be fun, or like being an entrepreneur. Like even today, like I still like figuring out fun ways to make money. Uh,
Okay.
like who doesn't like to make money? So
And I'll apologize to people that we try to find a way to not have the sun hit us, and it's just happening. So that's just the way it is. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I was an entrepreneur, had my own business, and what we talked about with my conversation with Ken, it's tough.
yeah,
Yeah, when you're on your boss, when you're your own boss, it sounds great until you realize if you're going to make your employees work harder, you're that employee that has to work harder. So when your employee screws up, that's you. Yeah, it's a whole different way of looking at things. Whereas in the military, theoretically, they tell you exactly what you're going to do, and you do it, or
Yep.
else.
Sound of drinking water.
So different kind of a lifestyle. And frankly, I was never cut out for the military. Not that I would be tested or anything, but I'd rather go my own way and have. Okay. What do you think of the FBI? I guess government in general, because people who know me know I'm not real fond of the federal government. What's your outlook on it?
I kind of think like I've always wanted a job that's more hands-on and not like sitting at a desk. So I don't know 100% about the FBI, but we'll see. But I've always thought too, like there's always gonna be bad people in the government and whatever. So might as well try and put good people into it.
I mean, I'm for that. Yeah.
And so, plus, like, if we ever have an apocalypse, like, I could be that insider. I'm like, I got you guys.
Well, they might put you in the front line.
To the bunker.
They might put you in the front lines of that apocalypse. That might not
Maybe,
work out.
maybe.
Yeah.
So it just like I've always been very like passionate about like helping people, and one of my coworkers say is we just serve and protect.
Yeah.
And that's just when we're serving chicken.
Yeah. Well, I know you could do a great job. I can only warn you, watch out for the bureaucracy because things get all so muddled up in the bureaucracy. No, I don't hate bureaucrats, but the truth is things can get so muddled up and ground up in the bureaucracy, you end up with not much of anything. So good luck with that.
It's okay, I'll just keep calling you and be like, you think this is bureaucracy?
So I don't know. Okay. We were talking, but we have, actually 2 generations between us here. Things change. And we were just having a conversation and watching some stuff on TV about some of the issues of today. For instance, transgender athletes. And I know you're an athlete of sorts. At least you play softball a lot. And I think, well, and I know for you, it's just intramural. I guess you'd call it intramural, right? So if they put a boy on the team and he aces everything, you can still have fun. But, they're talking about people in college athletics that are getting scholarships, looking at possible pro careers. And here comes what is physically a man into a woman's team and just blows everybody else out of the water. And he ends up number one, getting presumably the scholarships and whatever. I haven't really heard from you about what you think about any of this or how much you even know about it or care about it.
I've heard a lot about it, like whether it be from like articles or just from like you and Nana talking. But like I know like as like my generation, we're more inclusive and like we try to be more open minded and stuff. However, like even in like the military, there's two separate like categories for women to hit and for men to hit. Like they kind of know like they can't expect women and men to be the same physically. Even if you want to, even if you want to believe that women can be that strong, which some of them are. But I feel like if I feel like how they have, like the what was I saying? The Paralympics. I feel like if gender individuals want to compete in sports, make them their own leagues and have them play against each other, sort of. That way it's fair, and also you're not taking away from women that deserve to be in those higher positions, getting those deals and being able to go to college and play with their sport. For instance, like that one swimmer who took away from another who was transgender, who took away from another swimmer who was female. And the female swimmer, like, it takes years to get to the Olympics, and her dreams are basically taken away because even though the transgender swimmer couldn't get to the higher level in the men's, he exceeded all the women's in the women's.
By a lot. When you get to those higher levels, now when you're playing softball and intramural softball in high school, nobody's a star exactly, you know. But when you get to those higher levels, it matters. And then, yeah, men invariably blow the women out of the water, literally, if we're talking swimming. And I just can't see it. I mean, it's just not fair. You know, you talk about the rights of these transgender guys, and pardon me for being a little suspicious, but maybe some of these transgender guys just know a good deal when they see one, and they act like transgender. But even if they really are, it's not fair to the women at all. And at those levels, it matters. It counts for something. So I got to kind of call you out on something. You said you first of all, I don't think baby boomers are even trying to exclude anybody, but people seem to think that. But you talk about inclusivity, and then you talk about have something for transgender people like the Paralympics. Well, that's not inclusive. That's inclusive. Yeah, we'll be here, but you're going to be over there. So it's tricky business. Nobody's trying to make it hard on transgender, but at the same time, you can't just screw everybody else up over it either.
So. I think too, if we did want to be fully inclusive, is make all sports teams intramural. Like it would be a huge thing, but like have girls, if they want to play football, or have guys like there's like a slow pitch softball teams that have both girls and guys on it, and they play together fine.
Yeah, I've played plenty of games, so softball games like that.
If all the countries in uproar and not agreeing on should transgender be in women's sports, yes or no, just make all sports intramural.
Yeah, but the trouble is, again, when you talk high levels, it's literally a different ball game. Sure, I've been in just pick up games, really, men and women, husbands and wives. Nobody cares, whatever. So the men hit harder, perhaps, and of course, at the lower levels, there's plenty of women who are better than plenty of men. But at the higher levels, the men are the best because they're simply the strongest. So at the lower levels, do what you want. It does not matter. But at the higher levels, it matters. And I don't think you can get around that by changing the rules, You can't have pro sports and then call it intramural. It's a contradiction of terms, Yeah. So, and even college level sports, I don't think you can have it intramural at the true competitive levels. So, anyway, so I come down on the fact that whatever anybody cares about, who they like, who they don't like, I just don't think biological men who have the physical strength to beat almost any woman, essentially any woman, they shouldn't be on a woman's team competing against women. Period. It's just not fair to everybody else. So, does that work for you?
Yeah, that basically, yeah.
Okay. So, and that's what bothers me is, and that's why I don't like politics. It gets to be just people arguing over almost stupid things that don't even make sense. So
that's why I say, like, once you have your own political view, even if you try very hard to change someone else's, that's probably not going to happen. If you're both very adamant and strong in your beliefs.
That's what our political parties are about, is people join this side, other people join that side, and they go at it, and nobody figures anything out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's why I say you might as well make your own views rather than, like, if you're saying you're specifically liberal or specifically conservative, then you might as well just be voting for a sports team.
Well, I make that comparison. I say people go to a ball game. Seems to be talking about sports a lot here, but you go to a football game. Your brother plays football, and the people for his side sit here on the stands. The people for the other team sit there in the stands, and everybody cheers their side. They don't hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're all there for a football game. Even the players on the field, they're all playing exactly the same game the same way. People are more alike in that respect than they are different, even if it's two teams and each is cheering for their own. Uh, but that's a game. That's people on the field are there because they want to be. The people in the stands are there because they want to watch it. The people who don't care don't have to care. They don't have to be there. But when you start doing that in politics, we're all tucked into it, whether we want to be or not. And I know I've tried to stay out of it. Said, "Oh, this doesn't concern me. I don't care." Then you realize you can't stay out of it because they're affecting your life regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So it matters. So that's the part I don't like about this taking sides and teams on in politics. It just messes with the people who really don't care, don't want anything to do with it, and they don't have the chance to say, "No thanks, I'm out of this," because no matter what. So,
Probably why they had to create moderates as being a group. Because
yeah, but the moderate, and sometimes they're called libertarians. Not that that's exactly the same thing, but that still is politics in a way. There are people who just don't want to have anything to do with the government. They're willing to pay taxes to get the roads repaired and all the things that governments do. But when you get into some of these issues we're talking about, there's plenty of people who just wish they'd all go away. They don't even want a moderate opinion. They don't have an opinion and they don't want one. And what's wrong with that?
mm-hmm.
So people who don't like football don't have to watch it. People who don't like government shouldn't have to be sucked into it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Okay. So I've done a lot of talking and steering things. What do you want to talk about?
You wanted to talk about homeschooling, right?
That would be nice. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you know about it, which is quite a bit.
So since kindergarten, I was homeschooled all through kindergarten to 12th grade. And, throughout those 12 years, I guess you could say, I've done basically every single form of homeschooling under the sun. I've done online, I've done co-ops, which are basically you just go to school once or twice or 3 days a week, and then you get homework, and then you come back and do it. It's not like every single day. And then I've also done CCP, which is College Credit Plus, where I took some college classes with UC, and um, so yeah, I've done a lot of different kinds of homeschooling. That's why I tell people, I'm like, if you have any questions on homeschooling, I've done basically anything.
And you have a brother and sister, and you've all
Yes.
done that. Yeah.
Yes.
So just observing what I've seen of it, I do like that it's not so cookie cutter. Boom, 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 boom. You and your parents have just gone where things make sense and gives you the most benefit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I like the flexibility of it. For instance, like I don't like to just read. Like I don't learn from just reading, but like my sister, Leah, she can read a book and prefer doing that and learn stuff from it. Me, if you give me a book, I'm gonna look at it and just start scanning it and not learn a thing. So I prefer more hands-on work. So, like we were able to sort of cater to our individual, like what we'd prefer to learn with, and that really helped, I'd say.
Yeah, there's a saying that it's been around, I think, forever, but I just learned it a few years ago. But it's something to the effect of tell me and I will forget, show me and I will remember, let me experience it and I will comprehend. I don't know if you heard that one before.
Wow.
I think that's just words of wisdom. I know from my own life. Just like you say, I can read something and I'll retain it for a while. And it's in my head there somewhere, it accumulates, but you don't remember it too specifically. If I see it happen, whether it's a video or I'm someplace where people are doing something, I retain more. I understand it better. But when I do it, then it's really part of who I am. Yeah. And I think that's true of anybody. I don't know how it can't be part of anybody who does that.
Yeah. Overall, though, like I'm really glad I was able to be homeschooled because, like playing softball with Milford, which is our like school district, I would like talk to like my teammates and be like, "So what'd you do today in school?" And they'd be like, "Oh, we just sat and watched a movie." I'm like, "You're here from like what 9 a.m. until like 2:30 p.m. every day, and you have to just sit there and watch a movie? Like, I would rather be home doing what I want to do." Like,
Well, what you want to do that you learn something, right? That's
yeah, or that. Like, either make me learn something for those hours, or send me home so I can actually do something productive. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I would just like to point out, as a former teacher, that if you do it right in your life, you learn far more outside of school than in school. So people say, "Well, I went this far in school. When I have a master's in education, I have that much education, so I'm just that much smarter than a high school graduate." But that depends, because there are high school graduates out there that know boatloads because they've done so much studying outside of school. You learn so much in whatever you do, depending. So if you get to be 30, 40 years, 30 or 40 years, 30 or 40 years old, and you still only basically know what you learned in school, you're not doing it right. You know? So the things I know, the things I can comprehend because of the things I've done, goes way past what I learned in school. And I think there are some people that never really went far beyond just what they learned in school.
Yeah, and I think to like talk on that subject, like, not being in school every day of the week, it allowed me to like learn like helpful like life skills. Like, I was doing dishes before I could even reach high enough. I'd have to hop on the counter. Like, I knew how to like vacuum and do all the household chores. I was mowing the lawn before I had to like reach my hands above my head to like push it. And like I learned I learned how to cook. Like, a lot of like the kids like my age are like, "Oh yeah, all I know how to cook is ramen." Like,
Well, I know I don't know how your parents specifically trained you, but I know you guys specifically prepare your own breakfasts and stuff, which are nice breakfasts. They aren't just cereal. So yeah, so you've been encouraged to take care of yourselves, and you do.
Yeah, and like especially now being a college student, it aligns a lot more close. Like, it was a very easy transition from high school to college because I was used to only having classes a couple times a day, or having to do homework on my own time, and then also having to like work and do other things too, and like knowing how to like handle everything together. Because like I know with like some people who come from like public school or whatever school like goes all day every day or whatever, they come to college and they're like, "Well, my structure's gone. Like, I'm used to being at school 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and then having a sport to play or something. Like, I'm not used to having school only a couple times a day. Now I have to figure out when to do my homework. Now I also have to work, and adding all those together and being able to manage your schedule. Like, I know for some people that gets a little hard."
Yeah, I can blame myself for some of that when I was your age, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I think it's parents, when you just hold helicopter parents who just hold on tight to their kids till they're 18 and say, "Okay, go out there and function." It's like, what do the kids know about functioning? The parents have been taking care of them. So,
You're not gonna live on ramen.
So yeah, but you do see it. You see the kids who just can go right into college like it's just another step, and other people, it's like, what do I do now? I'm on my own. I don't know how to be on my own. Yeah, big problem. And I had the thought as we were discussing this, because again, and I have my biases for sure, but I think of the military as being so structured, so not wanting you to solve your own problems and go your own way. And yet that's what you're talking about doing, and that's how you were raised. That still confuses me a little. Why would you want the military? And I'm not knocking the military, just I'm trying to make this all make sense in my head.